I'm Dr. John. This is your Maintenance Minute, continuing the discussion on the 32 processes and practices that make up the storeroom function. We're going to talk about one today that's quite controversial. In fact, it's probably not documented where you work. It needs to be, but it probably isn't. And this will really help you to avoid a lot of contention and a lot of arguments, a lot of finger pointing, and just basically a lot of this or worse, a lot of this going on. Talking about the process of documenting stockouts. Now, believe it or not, we really should write down what a stockout is. What are we referring to? When we say there's a stockout on an item, what are we talking about? Let me tell you where we're going with this. The actual metric that we're measuring in the storeroom, the metric that you want to measure is called service level. And the world-class number for that is about 97%. That means 97% of the time, I want to have what the person who's requesting a part, what they actually have, what they need rather. I want to have what they need, 97% or greater, of course. There's a couple things in this document stockout that we need to narrow down. We need to work, us in the store, we need to work with the folks over in maintenance, engineering, and other places to define when someone says they need a part, what do they actually mean? And I know this sounds kind of silly, but I really want you to think about this. Do you need it or do you want it? It's very common for a maintenance technician to go to the storeroom window, service window, and say, hey, you guys got any of these? And, essentially hand over a part, right? They're like this pen. Hey, do you guys have any of these? Yeah, how many do you need? 2, right? The technician says, I need 2. Now, he may need just 1, but give me 2 just in case, and I'll bring back 1 or I'll put it in my toolbox or whatever. So if the storeroom only has 1, do they register a stockout because the guy said he needed 2 and I only gave him 1, but he really didn't need 2? Again, I know this sounds almost silly to talk about, but believe me, this is such a small point of contention, but it causes such an aggravation between the storeroom and the maintenance department. We want to define at your location, when you say you need a part, what are you talking about? Do you need it like there's a machine down, I need it to fulfill this job that I'm trying to do? Also, the storeroom has to be informed of an acceptable level of parts to stock. I'll give you a classic example. I had a client, I was working on this very subject essentially. They had on their roof an air handling unit that had a 3-belt shiv pack. So there was, a 3 shiv up there that required 3 belts. But the maintenance department only told the storeroom through, sort of official channels, I need you to stock 2 of these belts and always have 2 of these belts. Well, now we know that you don't replace just 1 belt. You certainly don't just replace 2 belts. You replace all 3 belts at the same time. So the storeroom never ever had 3 belts because they were told to stock 2 and always stock 2. And so there was constantly a stock out, if you will, on this, and they had to always rush a belt in, and no one really thought about this. So the rule is, by the way, there are rules. I wrote that down. There's got to be rules to, someone coming to the window asking for a part. Do they really need it? And did we tell them to stock that quantity? So there really are rules. And what the rule about this sort of the number that you should stock is for average usage in an average year or an average cycle of reordering, about how many do you use? And if you really stop and think about it, and if you're really tracking good information in issues and those kinds of things in the storeroom, we can sit down with maintenance and say, hey, look, it's been our experience that you guys use about this many, and we can economic order quantity from the vendor, get a better deal. And so here's how we're going to do it, but we'll have the stock that you've requested. So there's got to be some rules around this as far as the stockout goes. Now, I'm here to tell you right now, the number one way, and we've talked about this already, the number one way to avoid having a stockout and to have this level of service, or even greater, maybe 100%, the number one way to do that is to not have a technician come to the window and need a part. And the way we do that is extremely good preventive and predictive maintenance, awesome planning and scheduling, and the most kick-ass kitting program you ever saw, because anytime a maintenance person comes to the window, they're getting a job kit that has already been prepared, and the parts are in the kit that the planner told us to put in the kit. Remember the video on kitting? So document stockout. Let's have some real rules about when we say there's a stockout, what do we mean by that? And oh, by the way, for the people that are in the store maybe watching this video, if you've got a partial order from a vendor, or a vendor could not refill an order for your replenishment of your storeroom, we need to communicate that immediately to the maintenance department, because that puts us at a different level of risk. Now, it may be insignificant and maybe it doesn't really matter because somebody's got one stashed away. But if we've got really important A-level items and we're having trouble getting them from the vendor and supplier and we don't have the replenishment, we need to let the maintenance department know, because the maintenance needs to tell the production, hey, let's not operate as normal. Let's pay particular attention to this part that's on the machine out there right now because we don't have a replacement. You know, our vendor's backed up too. They've got a stock out, if you will. Look, this is a very important process. Let's put together a great formal program, train everybody to it, stick to it, and let's play this game as it's meant to be played, officially between two professional organizations. I think we'll get this done. Don't forget to subscribe. That button's right down here. I look forward to you being part of the team. I'm Dr. John. This has been your Maintenance Minute.